All right, let's talk about something you definitely know. Sauvignon Blanc. You've seen it on pretty much every menu, right? Maybe you even have a bottle in your fridge. But behind that super familiar name, there's a fascinating story, a kind of flavor code. And today, we are gonna crack it.
I mean, this is one of the most widely planted and flat-out beloved white wine grapes on the entire planet. From the hills of France to the sunny valleys of New Zealand and California, Sauvignon Blanc has, you could say, conquered the world.
But here's the mystery, right? How can one single grape create wines that taste so wildly different from each other? What makes one wine all zesty and green and another one feel rich and tropical? That's the code we're here to unlock.
I mean, just look at this. It's a perfect example. On one side, you've got a classic Sancerre from France. It can be like licking a wet stone. You get that fresh-cut grass, that super high acidity. Then you grab a Sauvignon Blanc from Napa, and it can be creamy, bursting with tropical fruit. A totally different experience. Same grape. Two different worlds. So how is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to a few key things. First, we need to get a handle on the chemical building blocks that give this grape its signature smells and flavors. You can almost think of them as the letters in its flavor alphabet. Okay, first up, pyrazines. This is where all those classic green notes come from. So if you've ever tasted a Sauvignon Blanc and it made you think of fresh-cut grass, bell peppers, maybe even a little hint of jalapeno, you're tasting pyrazines. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got thiols. Now these are the compounds that bring the fruit party. Thiols are responsible for that whole amazing spectrum of fruit, from zippy grapefruit and gooseberry all the way to that intense tropical passion fruit.
And this, right here, is the big secret. The entire personality of a Sauvignon Blanc, everything about it, hinges on the balance between these two compounds. Is it going to be more of the green pyrazines or more the fruity thiols? That balance, that's the code.
And you know, that code starts to get written way before the grapes even see the inside of a winery. The first decisions, and honestly, maybe the most important ones, are made right here, out among the vines. Sunlight is basically the master controller here. It's like this. More sun hitting the grape bunches literally burns off those green pyrazine compounds. Less sun, and you keep them. But it is a really delicate dance, because if you get too much harsh sun, you can actually damage the fragile little things that eventually turn into those beautiful tropical thiol aromas. And this is where a grower's skill really comes into play. They use the canopy, the leaves on the vine, like a natural sunshade. They can even pluck specific leaves to give the grapes just the right amount of sun, dialing back that greenness. And they control the yield, because fewer grapes on the vine means way more concentrated flavor in the ones that are left. All right, so the grapes are picked. The chemical profile is kind of locked in. Now we head into the winery, where the next huge decision is made, and this one totally shapes the wine's final texture and flavor. And really, this is the great divide. Using stainless steel tanks is like putting the grape's pure personality under a microscope. It keeps all that zesty freshness. But using oak barrels, that changes the whole game. And it's not just about flavor, it's about texture. That creamy note we talked about before? That often comes from stuff they do in the barrel, like stirring up the lees, which are the spent yeast cells, and that adds this incredible richness and body. I love this way of thinking about it. Oak isn't just a container, it's an ingredient. It really is the winemaker's spice rack, letting them add notes of vanilla or clove or a little bit of toast to play with the fruit flavors. So here's a little pro tip for you. If you ever see this term on a label, Fumé Blanc, especially from California, it's a dead giveaway. It's telling you the winemaker used that spice rack. You can expect a richer, more complex, maybe even a little smoky style of Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, so we've got the chemistry, we've got the winemaking. Now let's zoom out a bit and see how these choices create two totally different philosophies, which we can broadly call Old World versus New World. So let's put this into practice with the two undisputed kings of Sauvignon Blanc. Over in Sancerre, France, the whole goal is to express the terroir, the place itself. The flavors are mineral, like flint. But in Marlborough, New Zealand, the goal is to express the grape in the most explosive, fruity way possible. They often use what's called reductive winemaking, which just means they're super careful to protect the juice from oxygen to maximize those punchy, vibrant fruit aromas. You see, in the Old World, they really believe the magic comes from the ground. Sancerre has these different soil types, and each one gives a totally distinct character. Silex, which is flint, gives that famous smoky minerality. The limestone soils, or coyotes, give much more delicate aromatic wines. It's a wine that speaks of the soil. Meanwhile, in the New World, that explosive, fruit-forward style has become a global obsession. The demand for Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is so intense that it's driven the average price for the grapes, that's the black line there, up by 5% in just 1 year. Its market success is just incredible.
But it's not just Marlborough, by the way. Australia's Adelaide Hills has become a benchmark for these vibrant styles. And down in the cool coastal parts of South Africa and Chile, you get this fascinating saline, almost salty note that adds yet another personality to this amazing grape.
Okay, so we've talked chemistry, vineyards, wineries, the whole world, basically. So what does this all mean for you the next time you're staring at a wine shelf trying to figure out what to buy?
Well, it's actually way easier than you might think. Just 3 steps. First, check the region. You want that minerality? Look to France. Want big, powerful fruit? Go for the New World. Second, scan the label for clues, like Fumé Blanc, if you're in the mood for something richer. And finally, just trust your own palate. When you taste that grassiness, or that tropical fruit, or that creamy texture, you're not just tasting wine anymore. You're tasting the evidence of every single decision we just talked about. You've cracked the code.
Which kind of brings us back to this one big question. With a grape that's this transparent, this able to show you both the place it came from and the process that made it, what really matters more? Is a great wine born from the sun and the soil of the vineyard, or is it sculpted by the hands and the tools of the winemaker? That's definitely something to think about over your next glass.